There are people who are hungry. They're looking for something. And they love Orthodoxy because we take the faith very seriously, and they see that. You know, it's like serious as death. It's not about just fun and games and cotton candy and beating our tambourines. It's about really digging into the sickness of man and finding a cure and doing the hard things and something that's really meaningful.
What would your advice be to people who are struggling with seeing Orthodoxy as the fullness of the church, the Catholic Church?
I know exactly what I would say. If you're in a position to encourage them to do this, is the best thing they could do. Come to church for 3 months, to every service, as much as they can. Definitely every Sunday. Try and make it to another service or two, twice a week at least, or as much as they can. For 3 months, don't miss. Don't be playing the field. Don't be tipping your toe in the water and then going off somewhere. If you're really serious, if you really want to know what the truth is, you want the best. You want the absolute best, the purest, the real deal. And we're claiming we're it, okay? If you want it and you want to find out if we're just blowing smoke or if, we're telling you the truth, the only way you're going to find it, we're not going to pressure you, we're not going to manipulate you, but the only way you're going to really know that is you've got to come and immerse yourself for a certain time, a good amount of time, not 3 weeks. 3 months would be best. And at the end of 3 months, there's a 99% chance you'll know. And if it's not for you, go on your way. But you'll probably know. So that's what I tell people. And people do it. They actually follow my advice. And I haven't followed my advice all the time. Like, we have visitors every single week. They'll come 2, 3, 4 times, and then often we'll have this conversation, and then I tell them that, and then many of them do it, and then they become Orthodox. So that's my methodology. You can argue with people till you're blue in the face. And I like dialoguing with people about the faith. We just had a big long conversation with an inquirer this morning about infant baptism. So I enjoy that too, and that was productive actually. But nothing's better than them coming, immersing themselves, getting to know the people, praying with us, post-liturgical loitering, which I highly recommend, so entering into the community, soaking in, the atmosphere where the presence of God is. And, they'll begin to see. And then if they return to their happy, clappy church, oh my goodness, the stark difference, it just stands out, actually. In the old days, people would come and then they would be missing their, their other kind of music or something, and they would go back, and I used to get worried. I'm like, oh boy, they've wandered off. And I figured out this was actually the best possible thing that could happen, because they would go back and then the polarization between the two experiences was so profound. They would come running back here and say, oh my goodness, this is a completely different, the presence and the holiness. And it was actually always worked out in a good way. There are people who are hungry. They're looking for something. And they love Orthodoxy because we take the faith very seriously, and they see that. It's like serious as death. And it's not about just fun and games and cotton candy and beating our tambourines. It's about really digging into the sickness of man and finding a cure and doing the hard things and something that's really meaningful. The other thing that we do really well, I think, that some of the other Christian traditions have not done such a good job of, is we do a good job of helping people to understand sort of the meaning of life, what it means to be human, through a metaphysical lens, an ontological lens, at the very root of reality. Whereas a lot of Christian traditions have sort of turned it into an exercise in moralism or ethics purely, which is a derivative that's like a mirror of reality. In God there is no law. God is just God. God is like good, beautiful, and he's true, which means he's real. He is. He is. I am he who is. He's the metaphysical, ontological reality. And everything else is derived and contingent. And Orthodoxy explains the faith. It explains Christ's work. It explains God as triune. It explains our fallenness, our brokenness. It explains our redemption. It explains what we were created for, our telos, our perfection that God had in mind when he made us in the image of the Christ who is to come. It explains it through this with a metaphysical understanding. And I think there are other Christian traditions who theologically they have that there. Like I think that it exists, but I don't think they've done a very good job of expressing it or teaching it in that way. And so it hasn't resonated with their hearts. And I think Orthodoxy does a much better job of explaining that and making that real to people. And it's very appealing. I mean, it turns the light on for them about why do I exist? Why am I here? What does it mean to be human? Why did God create me? What's the meaning of this world? So that's exciting. That's resonating with a lot of people who get exposed to the Orthodox Church. And maybe we're doing a better job of making ourselves visible. There used to be a phrase that was tossed around all the time. I haven't heard it much lately. Maybe Metropolitan Philip said it. Orthodoxy, the best kept secret in America. Well, we don't want that to be true. We need to be working overtime to make sure that's not true. And maybe we've been doing a better job of that. Just letting people know who we are and that we're here. So that'd be a great thing. In terms of evangelism and missions and doing the work of missions, that's key. So maybe there's been a payoff for some decades of that kind of work. Maybe we're seeing the fruit. Sometimes the fruit's delayed. You don't see it for a while. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But we need to keep doing that work, Like, we write people off too quickly. I've seen so many people come to Christ from family members. And I think we should be more.
The Wise Phone 2, which I currently use as my phone. It's an amazing phone that helps you not doom scroll or be addicted to social media and other vices because it doesn't have a web browser, but it does function like a phone. You can call, you can text, you can take pictures, you can do videos. It even has apps like Uber and Lyft. You can order food, maps to get around town, all the things that you kind of need in this modern life. While at the same time, being able to have a boundary between you and work or you and distractions. So you can be more present with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, whomever. This has been a very freeing experience for me to have the Wise Phone 2. Again, you can get $40 off through my discount code KING today.
We write people off too quickly. I've seen so many people come to Christ from family members. And I think we should be more open to that sort of thing and be prepared to share Christ in whatever way he enables us to do that with our family members and with our neighbors and our workmates, speak up. Ask somebody if you can pray with them. Be available. Ask God to use you in people's lives. That's a dangerous thing, because he will. Like, if you don't mean it, he will. But you have to be then ready. You have to be ready to be available. Most of the time, if you say, Lord, I would really like you to use me, I'll meet somebody at work or whatever, and maybe they're having a crisis or something, and I can be there to encourage them, listen to them, pray for them, invite them to church. Well, then you're going to be stuck with them, in the checkout line, and you're going to miss the ball game. That's what it boils down to, 99% of the time. You don't want to stay and talk to them because you have something else to do, or something else you want to do, right? Let's be honest. So, these dear brothers and sisters are losing their lives in foreign countries. And sometimes we just don't take the time to share Christ with somebody or be a listening ear to show the love of God because we just rather be doing something different. I'm guilty of that more times than I can count. I'm embarrassed to say. And again, we're back to work. We're tired. I'm tired. I want to go rest. I'm tired all the time. All the time. Like my dad always said, you can sleep when you're dead, So I'll rest when I'm dead. St. Raphael of Brooklyn, we talked about him in the past. I had the great privilege of washing his bones at his translation. And one of the remarkable things about St. Raphael was his work ethic. That inspires me, along with this whole conversation. He just never stopped, never complained. The other day, we were with Metropolitan Saba all day long. We had a wonderful day with him. And he was with about 3 or 4 of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, I can't remember. Anyway, he was telling us, somebody was sort of talking about how tired they were. And he's like, Father, you know, Christ died for you. And you're tired? You know, he was being fatherly and kind and everything, but he was just reminding us that we've been called to sacrifice our lives. And that includes being tired and that we have to give.
What about, the growth that we're seeing in the church today, particularly the Orthodox Church in America? Like, why do you think it's growing, and what are some of both the opportunities and challenges kind of during this?
Yeah, well, that's a great, with this topic, thank you. That's a good question. I mean, it's an exciting time. We're in a moment, aren't we? We're busting at the seams. We're growing. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of catechesis that needs to be done. There's a lot of pastoral support ministry that needs to be done. We're working very hard here to accommodate this. And our growth is not nearly as explosive as in some places I hear of, where they have like 80 catechumens. We don't have that, but I mean, we still have, pretty rapid growth here, and we're filled. We can't fit any more people in the church, really. But so it's exciting, and I think it comes with problems.
The theme of the whole Bible is the divine indwelling of the world. That's why the Bible and Orthodox tradition are on exactly the same page. At the center of our faith is the transfiguration of human beings in the whole creation by the divine glory. The incarnation is thus nested in the center of Scripture. Scripture, the prophets talk about God coming in person. He's going to come. He's going to come more fully than he's ever come before. And then he steps into the world as this Galilean Jew, born in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth. That's the most intimate relation that God can possibly appropriate to the world, and it happens in the person of Jesus.
This first episode is going to be free to all of you, and the rest will be for paid subscribers. Seraphim, thank you for preparing this Bible study through Ephesians.